Hi, this is Mehdi.
Hey, this is Fran.
This is Total Tactics Football. Fran, what a game today. Exhilarating. 4-3 Liverpool wins against the newcomers Leeds. How excited were you by Leeds' performance today?
Look, I think everyone was really interested to see Marcelo Bielsa in the Premier League. He's a fantastic manager, very much well applauded by Pochettino and Guardiola, and he's hailed as one of the kind of footballing minds of the generation. And you wanted to see him meet effectively what would be the best manager in the world that most people consider as Jurgen Klopp. And they both engineer very unique pressing styles, and the mix and the clash today was fantastic to watch. What Leeds offer, is a sort of defensive press that comes from, outnumbering people in defense and then slowly being able to kind of distribute the ball to their wide players and create plays from this kind of situation. And they operate a 4-1-4-1 formation where you have two kind of attacking midfielders who like to support effectively the wide midfielders and also the fullbacks who stay very wide and create a triangle with someone like, for example, Hernandez or Klitsch who drop deep and create these triangles. And I feel like that did actually kind of press Trent out of the game today, who really, really struggled, even though he had the space to actually create with Salah having such a fantastic game. And, Leeds really stay very much rigidly to their style. You'll see that, for example, Struijk follows Firmino down to a T, and Firmino, someone who drops so far back into the midfield, was actually getting followed by a center back, all the way into the middle of the field. And that shows you how much Bielsa's philosophy has taken over and how important it is to kind of managing the game. And it's completely kind of swept over these Leeds players who at one point were considered a bottoming side in the championship. And with very much the same core of players, Bielsa has taken Leeds, effectively to the top. And we've seen today here that they can compete with the reigning champions in England. And what I really like about Leeds is that they actually managed to hold possession with Liverpool. I think they had around 50% possession for most of the game, which is very commendable. This Liverpool side is very often snuffs you out, and their dispossessions and their ability to actually create these kind of counter presses from short moments where you take heavy touches means that they actually have most of the ball. But the fact that Leeds were able to actually retain and create through the midfield, and that comes from the fact that Phillips drops deep. He's able to kind of ping the ball. They call him the Yorkshire Pillow. I could kind of see it today because he pinged a fantastic ball to Harrison, and Harrison was able to have a fantastic run exactly from what we mentioned from the wide field. And for me, it's what's striking about Leeds is how well they execute Bielsa's philosophy, but at the same time, they were very much hampered by Liverpool's front three and also their inability to deal with set pieces.
No, you're absolutely right. Going to the front three of Liverpool, Salah had a phenomenal game, man of the match, 3 goals. He's a player in the past who's been constantly said that he was a one-season wonder, someone who overperformed in his first season where, he broke the record, the English record. But I feel like he doesn't get the credit due. This player he presses, he engages in the front three where they make the opposition make mistakes. He scores with his left. He works hard. He tracks back. He also has like the ability to cut passes through and support his team. And I feel as we saw today, he had a phenomenal game. However, there is a certain problem that I feel exists in this Liverpool side, that sometimes Firmino can sort of, not provide them with the goal scoring threat that a striker should be providing them. And, they lost out on Werner. They didn't want to, spend the cash, and explain this, how the front three of Liverpool, it's just phenomenal. It's probably one of the best in the world. But if they lose one of the players in that lineup, Liverpool could be facing a lot of trouble this year.
No, I agree with that. I think what Liverpool has built on in recent years is a set piece threat. They're a club known for working on their throw-ins, for example. They have a specific throw-in coach that's kind of led to a lot of successes in terms of the game. They also have very developed corners. Van Dijk is a menacing threat. You saw him score a goal today, even though he had a mistake at the back. And that's the kind of thing that has changed the team from, a season where, for example, in the first year where we had Salah, Mane, Firmino, you had 91 goals for them. And year on year, that's dropped. But I still feel this team is ultimately very much dependent on a good performance from Salah and Mane when they face the top teams. And unfortunately with Firmino, I think has somewhat lost confidence in his ability to score. And that does hamper Liverpool, because the key and the beauty of their front three is their ability to kind of create these possessions and spring on counterattacks with just the three players on their own. And when you have Firmino and he's not able to score, that really does put a lot of pressure on Salah and Mane. And I do worry about that, because they don't exactly have that sort of depth. And we've heard Thiago be mentioned as the option, but Thiago himself isn't a goal scoring threat. So I feel like Liverpool have maybe deeper questions at the front, and then at the back. I mean, we had Trent with a poor game today. We all know Trent is a fantastic player. He's going to start for Liverpool for many, many years, and he's already established himself as one of the top players in the Premier League. But I would also like to see, for example, depth coming through his position. They sold Nathaniel Klein many, many years ago. And unfortunately, there's no sort of depth in a position where Trent, who usually plays in a more offensive position and does put a lot more pressure on Gomez and Van Dijk at times when he is in such an advanced position. When he has a poor game and is still holding these positions, you can see, for example, he wasn't able to contain Harrison today. And what happens when Trent doesn't have a good game? Then I think you would be asking questions about what Liverpool can do in terms of their depth. So what do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with you. And the question is right. We all want Thiago to come to Liverpool. He gives them that, a plan B, the creative outlet. If they want to play a possession game, they want to break the lines from deep. But I think you're absolutely right. They need to be asking questions in different departments. They lack depth up front. Shaqiri's there, who's been really, on the fringes in a sense. Origi can, provide you with the goals, but is it enough? Is it enough to challenge sort of Salah, Mane? I know those players are world class, but you need to have someone coming through who's going to be giving, some choices and a bit of off the bench, you could say, or in games where you need to rest Salah and Mane. And secondly, as well, in midfield, they need to add some sort of goals. With Thiago, you get the creativity, you get the chance creation, but we need someone else to provide an output, someone to get into the final third, arrive late, maybe, like the likes of, you could say, Saul, someone who gets at the end of the balls and puts it in the back of the net as well. And I think with the month remaining, this is very important. Klopp will need to be looking at the transfer market. All the other teams are looking to add and strengthen. And I feel Liverpool, with a great season last year, it's time to build on and to get even better. And if they get the right additions, we're going to see probably another title win. But for now, it looks like a little, there are some issues that they need to address.